What's happening, man? Welcome to Yah'm saying podcast, man. Another podcast. Appreciate everybody that's about to tune in. That's going to tune in. It's tuning in right now, man. Appreciate you, man. Hopefully everybody having a great weekend. I know my weekend pretty long. Few things to take care of. You know what I'm saying? Honeydew list and all that other stuff, man. Um, but yeah, man. Tonight, man, we got the brother Calvin, man. Appreciate you stopping by, brother. Um, you know, uh, you know, appreciate you. Appreciate you stopping by, bro. Go ahead and introduce yourself, bro.
Hey, can I get a sound check? We good?
Yep, you good, man.
Can
Yeah.
you hear the thump thump?
Yep.
Okay, cool. Hey man, I appreciate you having me. Calvin Johnson, huh man? I don't
On the
even know
criminal.
what to say. I don't even
Um,
know what to say, man.
yeah,
I'm from Columbus, Georgia. Here to talk about a lot of different things, but been around the world, done a couple of things, just trying to do what you're trying to do, man. Spread that light. So, about to retire. Try to be like you. You know what I mean? Look at all this aspirational, man. Just a black man trying to do better than I did yesterday, man. That's it. I think I'm gonna leave it at that.
dope, man. Dope, man. Well, I appreciate you, man, finding time. You know what I'm saying? We finally getting together, linking up, man. I appreciate you, brother. One of those the topic for tonight I want to talk about, a lot of our family and friends, and I know that, you have a child as well that you sent off, to college and things of that nature. A lot of our families are, sending our kids off to college. We live in nice neighborhoods, a lot of us, we got decent jobs and things of that nature, you know what I'm saying? And it just got me thinking about how a lot of us came from like poverty, man, like real poverty. Me and my bro always tell the story about how we lived in an actual shack. We live in a literal shack, you know what I'm saying? To where, we had to go to the bathroom in the outhouse, you know what I'm saying? Or not in the outhouse. We had to use the bathroom in the house. My dad went and dumped it in the outhouse, you know what I mean? Because of
Yeah,
snakes and
got
stuff like
you,
that.
got you.
Yeah, man. And when we moved to Delaware, we just moved to a different type of poverty. You know what I'm saying? By that time we moved, it's like 88 or so, 88, 89 or something like that, and like a lot of
How
jobs.
old were you then? How old were you when you moved?
Oh, man, I was 8, about to be 9. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. So okay, and where'd you move from?
We moved from South Carolina. We moved to South Carolina. We live right. Yeah. Yeah. We live right here.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
okay. And so we just breaking that experience down right there, right? Like so
Yeah.
going from South Carolina to Delaware, right? Like that particular experience has to be jolting itself because of poverty looks different
Mm-hmm.
in the South than in the in the North.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
So how
Absolutely.
was that? So how I mean, do you remember what the difference was at that age?
Nah, not at that age, man. You know what I'm saying? I was just a kid, man. Well, let me tell you. Let me backtrack. Because where we grew up in South Carolina, like I don't remember getting bullied in South Carolina. You know what I'm saying? For not having nice clothes or nice shoes or something like that. But when we moved to Delaware, that was different. You know what I'm saying? I got bullied. You know what I mean? Because of what I wore. You know what I'm saying? For a little bit, about a year or so, year or two, I got bullied because of the way I talked. I had a little country swang,
For
country.
sure, for sure.
You know what I'm saying? So, people always clown on me about how I talk. You know what I'm saying?
So
But
so
mhm.
check so do you still feel how long do you feel like you absorbed people making fun of you because of your existence when you moved to Delaware? How long did you go through that?
Man, went through that for about man, almost my whole time up here in Delaware, man. Be honest with
Man,
you. Maybe until my 11th, 12th grade year. By the time I had a job and could buy some could buy some shoes that stopped people from picking on me, you know what I'm saying?
for
It doesn't
sure,
mean that
for
I
sure.
had clothes, you know what I mean, that I bought a whole bunch of clothes or anything like that. But you
Does
know,
that affect you now?
no, yeah. I would say it does, man, because it You know what I mean? Number one, I'm very like leery around people. You know what I'm saying? Number one. Number two, um, well, number two, it affected me because I ain't trying to toot my own horn, but it made me a funny person. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. Yeah,
I
yeah.
had yeah, I had to be quick witted. You know what I'm saying? When people try to joke on you, you had to joke on them back. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, that's what it built though. So here's the thing. Do you feel like you're a funny person now?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
Do you
yeah.
feel like if you had to snap on somebody, like if you had to take it there, like okay,
Yeah, yeah. Like
this way you want to go?
yeah,
Like, do
yeah.
you really want this?
Oh yeah, 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 man.
But
And
it makes you so that critiquement that you got for that long
mhm.
made you not only quick witted, but it made you pay attention to stuff, good or bad. It
Mhm.
made you pay attention to certain things, right? Details,
Oh
details,
yeah,
details. So let
yeah,
me ask you this: what's
yeah.
the difference?
Hyper
So
aware.
what? So what's the difference from that particular training than going to basic training when they're like paying attention to these details on these uniforms and all these hospital corners and all this stuff, like all these little details, right? And then
Yeah,
they come around, if you don't get it right, they railing on you too, right?
yeah, yeah.
But
Well,
if you got it wrong, you my bad, Tay. But you remember when if you got it wrong and
mhm.
somebody came up in your face like, oh, you got your mama's this, you were like,
That's pretty much like I was like like the TIs, they try to be a little bit hard on you. You know what I'm saying? They try to be a little bit, but a lot of them I was just like, man, this ain't phasing me. You know what I'm saying? But it also was a different like I said, set of rules. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of the kids, and I think I said this before. You know what I mean? Like where I grew up, a lot of the kids, there were some kids who had better clothes and things of that nature,
right,
better standards of living, but they still lived in the same neighborhood I lived in, so
man,
they were poor, right? If their family could actually afford to move out of the neighborhood, or if the banks allowed a lot of those families move out of the neighborhood, they would have been poor too, right? Because that money that their parents are using would have went to taxes, living in the suburbs. You know what I'm saying?
for sure. So
Yeah,
may I harp on that real quick?
yeah, 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 yeah.
So peep game, man, like us as black people, we always been in the business of making sure that people know that we got money
Mm-hmm.
in some form or fashion, unless you just come from a humble background
Yeah,
where
yeah, yeah.
people told you to keep it low, or
Hmm.
you in some sort of business that some sort of illegal business that you have to keep your business. And let's just be honest, we
Yeah.
don't even do that well,
Mm-hmm, hmm.
right?
Uh,
I have a whole song called "Spectacularly Regular,"
mm-hmm,
right?
hmm, hmm.
And it talks about how like even selling dope, like you ride 24s and selling all this dope. Do you think the police really don't know? Let's act like they do and keep that shit up on the low. Like you like, come on, man. Like you the D boy, you rolling through here. Like everybody know that the little kids know. Like look at him, I want to be like him.
Yeah, yeah,
Like come
yeah. Well,
on, right? And so
oh, go ahead, go ahead, go ahead, go ahead. No, it's
no,
great.
but
Actually, what was your like? I think you're trying to delve into it a little bit, but what was it like growing up in like Columbus? Georgia,
okay,
you know what I'm saying?
so peak game, man. I think growing up in Columbus. So you gotta, man. I'm a free flowing dialogue guy, Tay. You know that. I think we talked about that, man. Like I can get hyper focused on things, and we can talk about that for hours. And I can just expand on things. So if I was to think about Columbus, Georgia, man, Columbus, Georgia is unique, just like a lot of military towns,
Hmm.
because Columbus, Georgia is right there where Fort Benning. Fort Benning is right there, right?
Mm.
So that's an infantry base, and it does a lot of things. I was born on Fort Benning, and
Oh,
so
okay.
growing up in Columbus, man, was just like shit. You don't know what you know until you know, right?
Yeah.
And that's
Hmm.
called unconscious bias,
Yeah, yeah,
you know. And so
yeah.
my mental model was just what was going on at that time. So in Columbus, my upbringing was kind of impoverished in a little bit, but I didn't necessarily know because my parents still had support of their parents and the family, right?
Mm,
But since
mm.
my parents were so young and it wasn't, you know what I mean, they were living in a situation of survival.
Right.
because my mom was 17 and my dad was 26, but they were not in a position to be doing what they were doing. So I was living in trailer. I was living like, I think I wasn't born in a trailer park, but
Mhm.
I have visions and remember living in a trailer park. But
Mhm.
when I was a child, before the trailer park, but like as an infant and before that, I was at my grandmother's house. So that
Mhm.
means that of course, with my mom being 17, I was at my grandma's house. Then they got a trailer, and then I grew up from there. And then I don't
Mhm.
remember that. Then there was a divorce, and then I'm in a single parent household, and I see my dad from time to time, and I see parents, and I have family, and I have people all over the place, and you know what I mean. And so from there, man, it's very diverse as well because it's a military town. But I went through my mother struggling trying to do things, but my mother was the daughter of a master sergeant in the army,
Oh, wow. Wow.
right?
Wow.
So my grandfather is a retired master sergeant,
Mhm. Mhm.
my mother's father,
Mhm.
right? Which is probably why I had access to to Fort Benning like that. Because
Mhm.
my dad had did 3 years in the army when he was like 19, right? But
Mhm.
so by the time I came around, his service was done.
It was done.
So
Yeah, it was
it
done.
was done,
Yeah,
right?
so
Which
that left you and your, that left you and your mom or your mom having to, uh, you know, well, be a single parent, you know what I'm saying? Number 1, but also not having the economic structure so that, you could, so that, you know, you could, not exceed, but you know what I'm saying?
just like anybody else, once you get into that perpetuated cycle of, okay, now you have to support all these people that you couldn't even support yourself, right?
Mhm.
Okay, boom, there it goes. And then you're just trying to struggle. You put your kid in the school system just like everybody else. Like my mama
Yeah,
didn't have it.
yeah.
But my mom was a diverse child because she was of military brathood,
Mhm,
right?
mhm,
And so she was very diverse. So she had to go figure out how to go do it. So my mom became a very diverse person, but that was the 80s and the 90s. So she assimilated.
mhm,
My mom was an assimilating black woman,
mhm,
right?
mhm.
It was one of
So
the first times you're
so
like,
so
Mama,
you
why you talk like that on the phone, professional
yeah,
voice?
that's what I was gonna ask. What do you mean by assimilated? Yeah,
But that,
I think that was a lot of black people in the 80s and the 90s.
no, no, I mean, but my mom took it to the next. My mom dated interracially.
Oh, wow.
You know
Mm,
what I mean? Like my mom forged my birth certificate when I was 4 years old to get me into school
mm,
because my birthday is September 4th,
mhm.
right? But she adjusted it to September 1st, so I didn't miss a whole year.
I miss a year, yeah.
Right.
Mm.
And you know, recently, man, my chair is like trying to move. Recently, I really went back in the day and was thinking about that. I was like, damn, did she do that? Because that's a risk
Mhm,
by editing a government document back in the day, right?
mhm,
And I was like, why they do that? I was like, was child care thing? Yeah, my sister. And then I was having a conversation with my dad. He was like, no, boy, you were smart enough to be in there and I wanted you to do it. I was like, damn. I was like, well, it's twofold, right? But I
mhm,
say all that to say, man, my dad was a very pro-black man. And my
mm,
mom was a big on assimilation to the fact where she had best friends helping her forge documents, but
mhm,
they were white people,
mm,
right? So my
mhm,
mom was working with white people at WC Bradley who makes charbroil,
mhm.
right? So my whole family has worked for charbroil. I have worked for charbroil at some form. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
okay. So my mom was hanging with white people. She was dating white men from on and off. You know what I mean? Puerto Rican, like different. My
Mm,
mom was very diverse. My dad was just straight black from Columbus, Georgia. You know what I
mhm.
mean? And so I grew up with both of these worlds.
So did you have at any point, like, where you had, like, cultures, like, colliding? You know what I'm saying?
That's all I lived in was
Yeah.
cultures colliding at some point in
Mhm,
time because at one point in time my mom moved me when I was in the fifth grade. Not moved, but I got part of the magnet program and went to a school on the north side of town
mhm.
where there was more white people and more others, you know what I mean? More
Well,
diverse.
was it like a better school?
Yeah,
Or did you
it was a better
mom
it was a
move you
better
to a
school.
better
It
school?
was a
Yeah,
better
yeah.
school. But
Mhm.
you know, me looking back in the day, I remember being in fifth grade making straight F's.
Mm, mm,
Not because I wasn't smart. It was just because I was like, young black boy in school, divorced,
Hmm.
going to a new school, bunch of white people having a, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
My fifth grade teacher looked like Peter Griffin, Mr. Farr, the round man. I remember that shit, man. And like I can tell that like right now where I'm at with my education in life, I made straight F's in fifth grade
Mm,
and probably in the 10th grade and
mm,
graduated late. That's Columbus, man. Like Columbus is a trap in a lot of different ways because it's a southern city and it's
mhm.
a consolidated government. And it's just they just suck you in, bruh.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
I
yeah.
got lucky and got out,
Mm. Now, why you say you got lucky and got out?
man, because that shit's a trap because cities are built a certain way for certain people to
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
succeed.
yeah,
But you also need industrial workers or people to go stay in that city and keep it
right,
thriving, right? So you
right,
have
right, right.
they built a college there. Well, I mean,
Hmm.
excuse me, there was already a college there. They made it a university in the state system, so it's drawing attention now. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? But you know,
Yeah,
you got banks and stuff. Like if you ever drove around and saw Synovus banks and stuff like that,
oh
like
yeah,
that's a Columbus thing. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of business in Columbus is like Aflac. Like my mom, when I was talking about forging that document, she used to
hmm.
work at American Family Life, which is Aflac. You know what I
Exactly.
mean? Like it's based in Columbus. You know
Okay.
what I mean? So it's a lot of things about Columbus don't know, but and I know I'm going on and on, my boy Tay,
No,
but
it's all good. It's all good. I mean,
boy, it's
you're telling your story, your experience, man.
man, I'm going to make a whole movie, a book, or something about my experience because it's just not. But Columbus, just like any city, has a lot of talent. So
Mhm.
I mean, with my dad, I got lucky, man. Like the drive that I have, I see it now. Like I came up in Columbus and people used to talk shit and bully and all that shit.
Yeah,
Man,
yeah,
that's
yeah.
what we grew up with. Like that's
Mhm,
the type of shit that make me hard right now that I talk shit to anybody if I want to. But if you
mhm.
know it's gonna turn into a fight, you like, man, I don't even got time to waste that
You
shit,
got
right?
time. Yeah, 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 yeah. I mean, because you got stuff to lose, right? And that's I think that's where we're at in the, when we're talking about like being able to provide, for our children the freedom. You know what I mean? Freedom for them where they don't have to be in survival mode, right? So you have a lot that we all got. Most of us in this category who are in our 40s, who were latchkey kids, in the 80s and the 90s, you know what I'm saying? Basically, left for the streets and we had to survive, you know what I'm saying? Right now we are, we provide a platform, basically a springboard, what I'm saying, for our children. And I always say this about, our ancestors, you know what I'm saying, is that for a large majority of us, the only thing that they could provide us was hope. You know what I'm saying? That's all they could provide. And they too survive, you know what I mean? Survive Jim Crow, survive slavery, survive 3 month, boat ride and things of that nature. You know what I'm saying?
You know
Man,
what?
I'm reading this book.
You
Oh,
said
go ahead. Go
hope.
ahead.
You said
Hmm?
hope, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Here's the thing that we really kind of take away from kids:
Hmm.
hope.
How's that?
We give them everything.
Yeah, but I think that's I
Well,
think that
follow me real quick, Teddy. Follow me real
yeah,
quick, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah. Hmm.
We don't even create the little drive anymore.
Hmm.
Like, think about what it took to get a Nintendo back in the day.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah,
Things are more
for a lot of people,
little things. I'm
that was
sorry,
no. I said the Nintendo was a lot of money for for a lot of people
but
who
that's
got
what I'm saying.
got a lot of money. So,
But when technology caught up and these things became cheaper to make and the dollar became what it became, all these little luxuries have very low income people have access to things that used to be an elite class of things, right?
hmm.
And
I mean,
it's
I wasn't
able
talking
to,
to no elite class, but
no. So a
I get what
cell
you're
phone,
saying. I get what
a cell phone, right? A cell
you're
phone
saying. Hmm.
used to be only an elite thing.
So, are you saying that people, like, only certain people, like, you should buy things based on your, I of course, don't spend above your means, you know what I'm saying? But I
What I'm
get
saying,
this.
what I'm saying, Tay, think about this. I'm sorry. Think about this, my boy.
Mhm.
When you think about a kid, we were kids and the cell phone came out, right?
Mhm, mhm, mhm.
The cell phone provided instant access to whoever had access at a mobile satellite rate, right? Like you can be anywhere and access people who had access to it, right?
Mhm.
Communication is one of the most important things in life,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like in a war, that's the first thing they're cutting down is communication,
Mhm,
right?
mhm.
And so having access to communication is a certain freedom. And
Mhm.
so we had to earn that freedom. At 18, I had to buy my own cell phone, bro.
Mhm.
You remember that, right? Like buying the
Yeah.
brick to say, hey, you know what I mean? Your parents wouldn't support none of that. No, your parents wasn't supporting the freedom of communication.
Mhm, mhm.
You
But
had to go get it.
yeah, because I think that they looked at it as, I mean, probably as they looked at it as they were raising you, right? They didn't have enough money. So once you became 18, they were just like, "Hey man, you got to go figure it out and go survive because I don't have enough money." Which is I think that today is our mentality is we have enough money. You know what I'm saying? That's the mentality, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't think it's a fault of our children. I think it's something that something that I told my son. I told my son this was that, you know what I mean, he wants to he of course he's trying to start his own small business, right?
Mhm.
But I told him that you know, I think that a lot of us have this idea that you know, the only time we're going to give something to our offspring is when we die, right? But I told my son, I was like, well, what if I don't die till I'm like 80, 90?
Right.
That means you're going to be 60, 70. You
Yeah.
dig what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what do I look like passing? I don't have anything to pass. So I have to give you something now. You know what I'm saying? I have to give you something now while, you know what I mean, while, you are at an age to where you are finding yourself and finding freedom, you know what I'm saying? Or you know what I'm saying, and getting the economic, you know, floor so that, hey, buy a house and do it and do those things. You know what I'm saying?
Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
How old are you right now?
Shoot, 44.
44. Have you
Yeah.
found your purpose in life?
Oh no, no, absolutely not, man. Not
Okay.
absolutely. Yeah.
You're 44. I feel like
Mhm,
I've just found my purpose, but I feel like I'm a lucky motherfucker,
mhm,
right?
mhm,
Most people don't know who they are.
mhm.
And I'm not saying that you don't know who you are, but I'm saying even in your quest, because everybody's in the quest to find out who they are, even in
Mm.
your quest at 44, you still don't know your purpose,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah. Mhm,
And so you're raising kids and you're trying to pass down whatever you know.
mhm, mhm,
So it's a combination of thriving and surviving. And
mhm,
you're
mhm.
passing down the tools to your kids and the do's and don'ts that you know that work and don't work. And you're telling them, hey, this is what I did. And when you're in my supervision, you're definitely not doing this and you're definitely doing this. But when you get on your own, I hope that you would take this stuff that I've given you and good luck, right? Because you're
Yeah.
you're still trying to figure it out, like we all are, right?
Mhm, mhm, mhm.
And
But
so,
I think I'm at the age where not necessarily figuring out, just more so uh having measured steps. You know what I'm saying?
what?
Because yeah, because at the end of the day, what I mean, being a parent, you know what I'm saying, I
Yeah,
have to make sure that I'm God, God once they turn 18, the conversation is different now, I think,
it is.
than it was back then. Because again, back then, like you're saying, if you were raised by parents who were just surviving, they raised you to survive, and in a lot of cases, a lot of instances, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Um,
but if people are paying attention, you
mhm,
can show thriving while surviving,
mhm,
right? Because
mhm,
there are plants that have to survive through winter but still thrive after
mhm.
a survival period, man. And I think people should have times of survival to make them appreciate the thriving periods and to get
Oh
their
no,
growth. That's why
yeah,
they
yeah,
burn. That's
Yeah,
why
that's
they burn harvests. That's why they burn fields and crops and shit. Burn it all down and let
hmm
it grow back up and cultivate, man.
hmm yeah,
But
and
because
I see what you're saying, and I think that and I agree with you, man. You can't give your child so much that they don't learn how to survive. You know what I'm saying? Yeah,
what
yeah, yeah,
if
yeah.
we look like we, bruh, follow me, Tay, man. I'm on your show real quick, and we're gonna do this. But follow me, man, because I'm with you. Follow me with this. When we were growing up, we had the small aspirations because of the American dream to have a better house, a better car, better clothes, pray better, go to the better church. You know what I mean? Like it was all about
Mm-hmm,
better, 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 right?
hmm
Because we didn't have equality to even feel like we were. We just wanted to have better, 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 just like everybody. We want a nice church. We want resources,
Resources.
right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
We want resources, right? And then life kind of switched that it looked like we have resources and have, and some people are building within the community and some people are expanding out of the community, but resources are there,
hmm
things of that nature, right? And I'm bouncing because I'm on my medical, not my medical ball, but my little bouncy ball, whatever,
Little bouncy ball.
right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I
Right.
got you.
And so, like, the secular external power has been satisfied enough that the drive is not there, right? Because back in the day, not only did you have the drive to get better, but as you
Mhm,
got better, you got older and wiser, and you had older people in certain places, and hopefully you had villages and communities to help you get better. Boy, you need to get better. Boy, you get better. That's what community is about. That's why I can look at a 22-year-old and be like, damn, he look grown. Damn, that's
mhm,
a boy. Damn, he don't know shit. We need to
mhm.
talk to that boy, right? You know what I mean? Because we know better now. And to talk to them and act like they know what we know, that's a fool. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so if we took all the external power drive away, right? So you got kids that have access to the same shit adults do at our age. They got phones, they can get access to cars, they can get access to all this stuff besides houses. And if they balling enough, they can get houses. And it don't even matter because they could particularly come from houses that ain't bad or that you know what I mean? You got people who come from the suburbs, act trap. You got people who come from the ghetto, act
That's true.
like smart. You just don't know because different struggle, different levels, different devils.
Yeah, but I say that I would say that a smartphone is necessary. If you don't have a smartphone, you're not getting a job. That's just what it is. And the
But not
technology
getting a
create.
job.
Yeah, 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 yeah. You need a smartphone for a
I'm
job.
talking about as a kid. A kid doesn't. Do you
Oh,
think that a child under the
yeah.
age of 18 needs a smartphone?
Yes, and I'll say, and here's why. You know what I'm saying? Because if because a lot of black families moved into the suburbs, a lot of black families are also doing suburban things. A lot of that, what they're doing is allowing their children to to be stay over a friend's house or stay over or doing sports or driving. You know what I'm saying? Driving they need a smartphone because the smartphone has a capability of obviously with maps, if they need to research something while they're out. You know what I'm saying? A smartphone is so I'm gonna disagree with you a little bit, but the because a smartphone is now
Hey, 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 Paul.
when we gave our kids phones, it was
Mhm.
because of safety, because we would drop them off at places like, hey, where you at, where you at now. Now by the time we were buying our younger daughter's phones, that's all you could buy with smartphones. You know what I'm saying? You had no choice. So they grew up with smartphones and technology. And the other reason I'll say is that this generation is growing up with a lot of technology, so we have to allow them to be smart. You know what I'm saying? We have
Yeah,
to
yeah, yeah,
allow.
for sure, for
Yeah, yeah.
sure.
We like
So
we have to allow
security,
that.
security is important though, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And we
So,
have to
but
allow that. Uh-huh.
what's the difference? What's the difference from what we were doing when we didn't have smartphones, driving around,
Mhm.
navigating around? Because now what we have is a bunch of people who, if you drop them in the middle of anywhere, don't know how to get anywhere.
Dang,
Right? Like my daughter,
hey, Cal,
man,
you
I
You sound like
What's
you're
that?
80 years old, dog. You sound like you're 80 years old, man. Like,
Bro, no. It's the
the job
farmer.
still there. Come on, man.
It's the farmer warrior mentality though. See,
Yeah, yeah.
at the end of the day, we're still fighting for our spirit and mind, and we
Mhm,
don't know exactly who the enemy is. So
mhm,
if they did cut communications, just like I said, we're
mhm.
gonna have a bunch of people who don't know how to do a damn thing if technology ain't there, right?
Yeah.
Like if technology
Mhm,
starts like changing flat tires, right?
mhm, mhm.
And that's all that it does. And we have a generation of people who do not know how to change flat tires, and some end up going wrong with a mechanism of changing flat tires.
Mhm.
You're gonna have people who don't know, but you're gonna have, but at the end of the day,
But
technology will catch up. You might not have to do it, right?
that's what I was gonna get, right? That's what I was gonna get to, because because technology happens, the subsequent society gets smarter, right? It's how you go from a horse and carriage to a car, right?
Correct.
Um, and without, so I the world society that we live in has no real desire to cut communications, you know what I'm saying? But because
They don't. They
or
don't.
or to cut technology. So
Right.
we can't hold our, kids out of technological advances. No,
And we
I
wouldn't.
honestly
Why
think
would
that they
we?
should, because
Why would we stifle our kids though? We
but
wouldn't
let me tell
stifle
you
our
something.
kids.
But we did have a generation of children that were stifled, right? I'm
Oh,
part of
for
that
sure.
generation. I'm part of that
How?
generation, right?
How?
Because we did not have computers in the home. See, when
Right.
computers came out, many people think computers came out in the 90s. They really came out in about the 80s, but they were very expensive. So that left a lot of
For
black
sure.
families who did not purchase computers. So since we didn't have a computer in the home, we were left out of actually experiencing what computers do.
Hey,
So
that left
it
most of
literally shot
America
up.
out. That shit wasn't just a black problem. And I'm not tripping because I know what you're talking
Yeah.
about. But I'm gonna tell
Mhm,
you, because I had my granddaddy, the same one that I was talking about, like
mhm.
late 80s, early 90s, they had the Apple Macintosh. And I used to play the California games on it and the Oregon Trail and stuff
Let me
like that.
ask you, did they have the wealth, the money to purchase that laptop, to purchase that item?
My grandfather
Because
was retired
okay,
army working,
so he
you
had
know what I
money.
mean? Like he
Yeah,
was married
so he had
to a postal worker, you know what I mean? Like he was
oh,
getting the
so he had
money. Like you had
but that's my
when you had
point though. That's my point though, is that a lot of black people didn't have that, right? You
but
had access
but
to
my
computers.
but my point in
Right?
this argument is that so you have a very solid argument, and I'm not disagreeing with you. But my point to the disadvantages is that wasn't just a black disadvantage because of the price of that computer.
No, 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 no. It absolutely was, because the disadvantage, because like you're saying, it's a disadvantage. So, and that disadvantage was for black people, and because it left a generation of black kids out of technology, right? And it just kept pushing these black kids into working manufacturing jobs rather than going to work for Yahoo, rather than going to work for AOL, rather than going to work for
What
cell phone company. You know what I'm saying? Like
So hear me out.
it
Hear
did
me out.
leave
Hear me
it did
out.
leave
I
a
agree. And so for the lack of time for the lack of time, I completely
yeah.
agree with what you're saying as far as the
Hmm.
disenfranchise of us as black people as a people.
Hmm.
But I can tell you
Hmm.
that our argument as black people for that
Hmm.
disenfranchisement, like for us, for me and you, for purposes of just me and you on this podcast and the people particularly who are interested in it, for sure, hell yeah. But I can tell you that our argument for that to get people to understand those transgressions, they don't
Hmm.
hit because what you're saying is accurate, but it is also accurate for people who look like the people who we're mad at. You do you hear what I'm saying? And so when we
Yeah, yeah. Look, and to be clear, like I'm not mad. I'm not saying I'm mad, but what I'm saying is that are when we're talking about, what I mean, generational success. That's what we're talking
Mhm,
about. You know what I'm saying?
mhm,
Along these lines, you know what I'm saying? There are gaps. You know what I'm saying? There's gaps that we couldn't control or our parents couldn't control. You know what I'm saying?
right,
Whereas now we can control it. Now we can control it for our kids, man. And we should, what I mean, as much as possible, as much as possible. You know what I mean? Like
right.
I'm for 5 year olds having a smartphone. Why? Because they can get interested. It would be so much easier to teach them how to code. And I say this, generally. I mean, I was talking to somebody last night about this in the Oculus. Oh dang, I forgot to talk about the Oculus. But anyway, I was telling somebody this was that um the reason I'm brought talking about computers is because by the time before I turned 18, I should have been learning coding, right?
Right.
But coding wasn't a possibility because I didn't
Mhm.
have a computer to even
Right.
know about coding. We didn't even get taught
Right.
coding in school.
Right.
Nobody mentioned
Right.
it. Meanwhile, guess who is being taught coding? You know what I mean?
Right.
Those
Right.
those schools where they're
Right.
overwhelmingly,
Access.
white.
It
And
was
those
an access. There was an
and
access issue back then too. There was an access issue, and
yes,
so
absolutely. It's
and I agree. And so what I'm telling you right now is that like our kids,
mhm.
we give them access to technology that they need to learn how to navigate, right?
Yeah,
And
that they have to.
I completely agree with you
Yeah,
about that,
and not
right?
only navigate, but here's the other thing that we have to think about. They have to make it better. If you don't give your child, if you don't give that child a cell phone or some sort of smart device, right? Just like they were trying to tell me as a young parent, that our young toddler should be on a computer. It's because they're going to be the generation in 20 years from now that's going to make it better, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Okay,
It's why we have smartphones now,
for
because those
sure.
generations have grown up with handheld phones
Right.
and landlines, wanted to make it
Can I
better.
can I check the temperature on something real quick?
Car. Yeah, what up, what up?
So I want to clarify that I totally agree that we need to make sure our kids are learning everything that they can to get the leg up, right?
Mhm, mhm,
With technology and everything, like as soon as they can start typing, like point this out, da da da, anything we can get them to do to start learning, right? The
mhm,
thing is, it's about ownership.
mhm, mhm.
We as parents have to take ownership over the development over our kids.
Oh
We
yeah,
can't
absolutely.
just we can't just throw technology at them and expect
Mhm,
technology to just blossom with them, right? But that's what ends up happening. We end up throwing this technology at kids,
mhm,
saying that it's their iPad, saying that it's their phone. When we want to be left alone from our kids, we throw them the technology, tell them to do this, that, and the third. Some people
mhm,
don't even put the restrictions on it, so they have access to the most high-powered technology that we never saw growing up. So they get
mhm,
access to stuff that they probably have no business seeing at a certain age because of the laziness and the lack of competence, right? That's why kids end up learning the kids have always learned how to run circles around their parents and still will. I don't care how smart you are as a parent because you got so much stuff going on in the world that you got to go to work, you got to balance this, you got to balance this, that you ain't got time to be looking at your child who is only focused on getting access to the whole world. So, what I'm saying about technology is we have to be careful about giving our kids technology and we have to monitor it and give them times to expand on technology and learn it, but they
mhm,
also need to go get the hard skills. But we also need to tell them kids that this is our iPad and this is our phone, but we're letting you borrow it and it is more yours than anybody else's. But when
mhm,
it comes to this, it is mine. So when you talking about I'm gonna take my iPad, I'm gonna like, no, you're gonna take your ass to bed.
mhm. Look, man, I'm not. Look, however people want to parent their kids, man. That's
Do
not
you
just
feel what I'm saying though?
but I do understand where I do
It's
understand
not a
where
free flow of phone. This ain't your phone.
you
This ain't a free flow of technology until you get your own. And you know what I
look,
mean?
yeah, and it's about responsibility, right? Taking care of somebody else's things, right?
Right.
Because if you're taking care about somebody else's things, then you'll take care of your stuff too. You know what I'm saying?
For sure.
So
For sure.
yeah, I most definitely
Yeah, that's
understand
all
that.
that was. Like I'm in agreement with you, but I have it's a monitoring situation for me.
Yeah, yeah.
Like I ain't yeah,
Nah, nah,
but
I
that's
get
the
you, bro.
problem, man.
It
That's
just,
the problem. Like we just give it, and I've been a
but
problem. I've
I
been
will
a
say
part
that.
of that.
Like, I don't want to. Yeah, and I don't want to generalize all parents, who do that. They're of
Well,
course,
we can do that.
we see
We
it.
can generalize that.
No,
That's what the generalization
no,
is
I don't.
for. Dog, do
No,
you
no, no,
know
no, no,
if
no. I think that's
I'm just telling
that
you?
you have to you have to give some data. You know what I'm saying? Like, because I don't think that I think too much
You
of
don't think
anything
I
is
have data? You don't think I have data? I have data,
Mhm.
bro.
Yeah,
So
no,
you
no.
gotta remember.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You gotta remember that I deal with a culture directly. Like
Mhm,
every
mhm,
single change. If people, I'm gonna go on the record right now on this show. I hope whoever here, please know that I
hey,
deal with folks.
incriminate yourself.
I no, straight for real. I deal with folks' kids, and I can tell people about their grown ass kids and how I ain't got no goddamn home training. I have the data to tell you how
Mhm,
people get reckless with technology
mhm.
and they disrespect themselves. They
No, look,
disrespect themselves and
I
disrespect
agree.
people.
Yeah.
These are people's kids who didn't get taught home training with social
Mhm,
media to the
mhm.
point where we got to create social media training.
Look, and that's because social media is it's still relatively new. You know what I mean? It's ever
Social
changing,
media
right?
ain't Tay,
And
I gotta go. Boy, I've
yeah,
been on social media since I was 18.
you talking about like AOL and all that stuff.
I'm social media is
Mhm.
being on media and being social.
Yeah, yeah, but what I'm saying is for a lot of parents who are like my age, right?
I'm
Social
your
media.
age.
I mean, yeah, I forget. I be forgetting that, but man, black don't crack. That's because you ain't got a beard yet with gray in it. You know what I'm saying?
What are you talking? I got great. Hey man, don't come for me.
But you ain't got. I
That's
mean,
ad hominem. That's ad hominem fallacies. You're attacking how I look, trying to say they're not credible, Tay. I
I
won't
said
take that,
that's
sir.
the beard, man. It's got to get a little bit longer, bro. But like I
I
said,
ain't. I gotta. They don't come for me if I grow the hub.
that's true. That's true. Hopefully that'll change. Hopefully that'll change while you before you get out. But what I'm saying is that for a lot of us parents who came from that survival mentality, social media is new in that it really um our kids interact with it differently than we did or we do. You know what I'm saying? I didn't get on chat rooms or what I mean, I wasn't a first adopter when Facebook come out or Twitter came out. You know what I'm saying? I most definitely wasn't a first adapter. But now, even now, like I don't like my kids use like Snap. Like I can't handle more than two social media things. You know what I'm saying? It's too much. And my kids have Snapchat, and we like, hey man, you can't have Facebook. And it took us a while to let them have a Snapchat. You know what I'm saying? But with that, what I mean, with the social media stuff, as parents, you had to learn the lingo. So the kids were, what I mean, were hiding some of that lingo in social media.
Listen,
So it was a lot. I mean, it was really
well,
a lot. And it's like,
you
yo,
know,
why do I gotta, you know what I'm saying? Like, what I
you
mean?
talking
Like
to a unique. You talking to a unique person,
eggplants
man.
and eggplants and just stuff like what?
I'm
And
you.
horses. I'm like, what's going on, man?
I'm unique
Yeah.
in a lot of different ways, man. Like, so I came up off social media real early. Like, I was on Black Planet. I
Oh,
was
Black
on
Planet. Yeah.
Gente. I was on the chats. I was on
But I see that
AOL,
Black
Yahoo. I was meeting in 2000. I was meeting people online, but I was still hanging out regularly. So I
Yeah.
know how. In this day, right now, like all this Bumble, Tinder thing, la, 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 like I know how to meet people online and in person because I cultivated that skill at the age of like 18, 19, 20, and I did it
Mhm.
routinely with ruthless consistency, right? And as I got older, like I learned how to do that. My interpersonal communication skills are crazy. You know what I mean? And so
Mhm.
I use all those different situations to cultivate who I am. And but so I don't think I asked you this question. Let me ask you a question.
Hmm.
Would you rather be a warrior on a farm or a farmer on a war? I mean, or a farmer in a war?
A warrior on a farm? I'd rather be a warrior on a farm, man. That's just, you know what I
Okay.
mean? Like, you know what I'm saying? Because warrior designates that, you've been in some battle, you've been in some battles, you've been in some hardships. Hey, man, it's time to chill out. You know what I mean? If you're a
Mm,
farmer in a war, you're being exploited somehow.
mm.
You dig? You are
Hey,
being exploited, and I
hey,
don't. Look,
hey.
I
Let
ain't,
me ask you this: ain't for you for who you are? Aren't you both right now?
mm, no, not yeah,
Yes,
yeah. I would
yes,
say,
yes,
well, I
yes,
would say
yes. Do
more
you,
of the more the warrior on the farm, though.
no,
You know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
you are a warrior on a farm now because look at
Yeah.
your age now, man. You're on the farm, you're
Mhm.
producing, you're giving back to the family, you're producing food, but you're a
Yeah.
farmer the whole time. You
Hell
like,
yeah.
hey, you want me to tell you how you're a farmer the whole time?
Hmm.
You reap what you sow.
Hmm.
You're a
What's
farmer the whole time. You went into the service and you served your country and you retired. You're a warrior.
yeah, 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 man. Yeah,
And
man.
so
And
now you're both. And now you're both. And now you sit on the farm. But if you had to go to war, you know how to go.
oh yeah, absolutely.
And,
Yeah.
and you know how to produce.
No.
No, no, no. You would. But that's what I'm saying, man. Like we have to understand what we are. So to get back to what we're talking about with the generational curses and stuff, we now have access to resources, education, to where we're able to spread the light. Right?
Mm-hmm.
We're able to spread that light. And so like don't look, man. I got this sign, me and you, we're gonna do that when I see you. This is at least double consciousness, knowing
Yeah.
that you're more than one thing, bro. I'm gonna
Hmm.
create a handshake just like Will Smith and them used to
Yeah, 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 yeah.
boom, 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 boom. Double
Yeah.
conscious because we always got to be on a swivel because it's about diverse perspective. But thinking about the constrained resources that our parents have, they were doing the best that they could for their
Yeah, man, they
resources.
could, man. With the
Right.
and that's why I said that they, that's all they could give us was hope, right? Because like you're
But
saying, they were farmers, right? They were farmers. They
mhm,
fought their own. They had their own different type of war to fight, right? And
but
they were. I mean, I'm sorry, they were farmers. They were warriors. You know what I'm saying? But the problem is that for a lot of us, you know what I mean, like the farm only produced so much. You know what I'm saying? Like you had, the
yeah,
kids
that's what I'm
on the
saying.
farm.
With certain
You had,
resources, with only certain resources, you can. Hey man, just like slave owners, bruh, you only had as many slaves as you can actually afford.
yeah, yeah.
Right? A business is a businessman, and people. The thing is, when it
Oh,
comes to
never mind.
system
Man, I
thinking,
was about to say, never mind. You're right. Slavery was a business. Go ahead. I was about
slavery was
to
a
say,
bit. Yo,
man, look,
everything.
you get no argument from me. No
Hey
slavery.
man, listen, if you don't look at it like a business, you can't speak to it like a business. Even if the
Mhm,
business is ethically wrong. I
mhm.
mean, it's legally wrong now, but that was ethically wrong
It was
back
look.
in
It
the
was.
day. But it depends on the society because ethics depends
Mhm,
on the society.
mhm, mhm.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
okay, so
yeah,
we in the middle of this thing. I don't necessarily have to clarify myself, but look, man, me being a legal professional and me living the life that I live, I done seen the bad and the good, and what they try to say is good and bad. You know what I
mm,
mean? I'm like,
mhm.
whoa, hold on. You know what I mean? Because when
Yeah,
you come from certain things, you don't got certain resources.
yeah.
Sometimes you put in situations where you're gonna have to do something that some people consider ugly, dirty, or not what we do here. You
Mhm,
know what I
mhm.
mean? And so
Yeah, yeah, and
yeah,
I think a lot of us came from that, and we didn't want our kids to go through that. You know what I'm saying? So we give
dog,
them.
kid.
So it's like we got a 5 bedroom house, and well, we got 5 bedroom house so that if our kids do stumble, they got some place to come and get it together. You know what I'm saying? And they
And
also got
you know what? Let me tell you
resources.
something.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I just said something to somebody I know who has an opportunity to do some dope shit in their life, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
But where they're at right now in their life it's okay, right? Like they could do this life and be successful, but they have the opportunity to go
Hmm.
do something else. And if they fail, they can return to the life that they have and
Hmm.
continue to do that, right?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
And we were talking, and I said, "Hey, how do you think you're gonna do?" And she's, I said, "Do you? If you fail, what could happen?" And she was like, "I could go back to what I'm regularly do." I said, "I bet you if you couldn't come back to what you're doing now, I bet you would bust your ass to make sure that
Hmm.
you succeeded.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And so what I'm saying, my guy, is that we actually support so much that we give our kids too much of a fighting chance to know that there will always be something to bounce back
Hmm.
from. Like, we will always be here, and that is good and fine, but I think there needs to be a level of
Most definitely. I
what
think that you have to be honest. Like you have to be like I'm honest with my kids. You know what I'm saying? Because I tell them
everybody's not, though.
every yeah,
Everybody's not.
and I agree with you that you have to be honest in understanding there's life and there's death, right? And so you have to tell your kids like, hey, if I'm off this planet, I tell my kids get upset because I tell them this, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, hey man, if mom and dad are at the age to where tomorrow our obituary could read died of natural causes, right? So, so what are you gonna do? What is the plan? What's the plan? What are you going to do? You know what I'm saying? How are you going to survive? You know what I mean? Like you really have to think about it, you know what I'm saying? So that it's not all about fun and games. It's not all about, you know what I'm saying? It's not all about fun and games. And along the way, of course, as parents, we gave them tools, different tools of survival. You know what I'm saying?
So,
For them to survive.
you just said something that I just want to hone in, because that
Mhm.
it's interesting that you took on the, if I die now, it'll be of natural causes. And I get that conversation, because that makes sense, man, because
And it's necessary.
you're at an age now that if you died, it would be tragic, but you've lived a
Mhm.
life that is like, okay, damn, that's unfortunate. Went
And the
too
family
early.
be taken care and the family be taken care of too.
Your
You know what I'm
family
saying?
be taken care of. But if you were to go at this time, it would be like, damn, what happened? Oh, heart attack, aneurysm, whatever. And if they determine it came from your body, you'd be like, okay, he was old and finally gave out.
Mhm.
But and that's unfortunate. But it would be a conversation to be like, no, 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 no. That's not natural causes.
Mhm.
Something went wrong in your 40s, and we would need to understand that it could have been diet, health, genetics, and we need to
Mhm.
figure that out. And
Mhm.
because that's what we call an accident in my world, like professionally, and we would do a safety investigation board to see if that wasn't some genetic, or
No, no, no,
did
no, no.
something.
What I'm saying is that, you know what I mean, that my analogy was more for direction for my kids, you know what I mean? Like
Right. So
focus.
and that's what
Or
I'm
it was
saying. But I'm
whether
the type of person.
whether I died of unnatural causes or not, that wouldn't be their concern. You know what I mean? Their
Well,
concern.
no, it would have to be. It would have to be, because they're paying attention to you, right? Like, you're the authority, you are the resource. You are the complete example of what, at the bare minimum, what life would look like. So you set the bar on what life looks like for your kid, and you want them to exceed that,
Mhm,
right?
mhm,
So whatever mistakes or something that you missed, or that you know that you're doing wrong, you're letting them know what that is, because that's breaking the generational curse or trauma by saying, this is what I did right, this is what I do wrong, based on the society and environment, and blah 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 blah. So yeah, you're setting your kid up, and you're saying, hey, if something was to happen to me, if you're set up like this, and da 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 da, if they're the age to understand it, but to understand that if you were to leave at your age right now, please find out what that is, because you're not supposed to be leaving that time, but
mhm.
know that you're taken care of. You know what I
Honestly,
mean?
I would tell my kids, don't even waste your time, man. But because I'm not coming back. So,
It's
and
not
the other
about, yeah, yeah,
and
yeah,
another
yeah.
point is that I tell my kids all the time, like, hey man, look, or tell my wife, hey, if I go before you, you know what I mean, just put me in a bottle, you know what I mean, put me in a little urn. Don't spend money on a casket. You know what I mean? It's funerals of tens thousands of
See,
dollars.
that's I have to
Mhm.
attack that, because I feel like that right there, what you just did, is part of our generational problem.
Oh no, I most definitely. I totally agree with you. Look,
Yeah,
my mom passed away at 58. That's young. People need to understand that's young. She had an aneurysm. She passed away at
my
58.
mom died at 49 of an aneurysm.
Yeah, man. And like so we had to
Why
you
do
know,
people have
and you gotta
aneurysms, Tay?
I
why
mean,
do
obviously, it's health issues. You know what I mean?
do you
It's
know
health.
who has aneurysms more than anybody else?
Black folk,
Black women
black
specifically.
women. Yeah, black
Why?
women. Mhm.
Why? What are aneurysms tied to?
Brain. Yeah, I don't. Yeah.
No, no, no. High blood pressure.
Oh, high blood. Oh, yeah, yeah, of course. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
no, 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 no. I recently just had to tear through my life again, man. Like my mom died of an aneurysm,
Hmm.
and I was like, damn, I went back just recently. Like this was 8 years ago. My mom died, and I went back recently, and I had me something was crazy going on. Man, I went back and replayed it, man, because when my mom died, my grandma got the insurance money, and I was having an
Hmm.
issue a couple of weeks ago, man. I just went back tearing through my life. And I was like, damn, did my grandma kill my mama to get money? Yeah,
Oh,
shit. Yeah,
I
but
don't know.
then nah, but then some people was talking some sense to me. And like,
Yeah,
mama
yeah,
died
yeah.
of an aneurysm. I was like, grandma, watch that CSI shit, man. Like, hey, listen, we all know them grandparents be watching all that forensic files and shit. Man,
Yeah, but
forget
yo,
about
no,
forget
40, I mean,
forget
49 is
about
something.
it. But my
Yeah, I mean,
grandma was
40.
a double amputee though. She was a double
Oh,
amputee
wow.
because of her blood pressure, her
Oh, okay. I see.
hypertension.
But or diabetes
So
does that too.
my grandma did have a part in why my mama died because of genetics,
I
right?
mean, it's gene. So that's why I
It's
try to
in the
tell people
genes.
like,
But
making,
my mama hurt her ankle before
yeah.
she died, and me and my sister totally forgot about it. And then my sister saw an episode of Grey's Anatomy, and somebody hurt their ankle and ended up dying of aneurysm, and it clicked to my sister like, damn, do you remember that happened with my mom? I was like, oh shit, that did happen.
Mm,
And it cleared up all that stuff.
yeah.
Like my mama had aneurysm, but it was still tied to hypertension. And what I'm saying is,
Yeah. Mhm.
all I'm
And
saying
that
is,
is something that's, hypertension is something that's, like in African, if you come from Africa, hypertension is
okay.
genetics. Mhm.
But now go back to Kendrick Lamar's album right now, and he's talking about
Mhm.
they serve Popeyes at the recession, or not reception,
Yeah.
at the you
Oh, we said,
whatever,
yeah,
man. Like,
yeah.
bruh, when I went to
Yeah, yeah,
3
yeah, yeah.
funerals last year, I didn't have it. Thank God I ain't been to none this year, man. Thank the Lord I ain't been to none this year. I went to 3 last year, mostly COVID related on older people that were twice your age that they
Mhm.
said they died of COVID, but we could have said natural causes. But there's a theory out there, but they causing people to die of COVID, or that they're saying people died of COVID to get money for the hospital.
Mhm.
Either or, they were 80 plus, and the average life
Crazy.
expectancy for somebody in the United States is 80 years old. But if you look in black areas in cities where the industrial area is, it's 70
Mhm.
years old.
Yeah, that's because of a
70.
lot of the, people don't understand a lot of the environmental racism that was happening. And again, environment was always important to black people because, especially during the 70s, around the 60s, 70s, because what happened when you had a lot of chemical plants and a lot of manufacturing companies getting, being put around black companies and poisoning basically
Yeah,
water,
they dump
poisoning
everything. I
the
know, I
system,
know,
poisoning
I
the
know,
air,
I know
poisoning the air
all
and things of
about
that
it, my
nature.
dog.
But yeah, bro, but yeah, man. Hey man, yeah, man, that was a good convo, bro. Yeah, man, we're gonna go ahead and wrap up and stuff. You know what I'm saying? We were talking about, generational success and our kids and what I mean, and the conversation went on, but that was good, bro. But yeah, man, I'm go ahead and you got anything, bro, before we sign up?
Yeah, we always have to have open dialogue, man, because
Mhm.
I think at the end of the day, we as people, we all have our ideas of what success looks like. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? And we all trying to get it right. And there ain't no right or wrong. You know what I mean? It's just like we all work together to get after the better idea for us as black people, but we all like exist in this world outside of black people, and black people don't have the most power, and it's going to take more than just black people. But we can try to build inside, we can try to build outside, but we got to do both. And that's what the double consciousness is, man, because we're fighting a multi-phase war, right?
Mhm.
Like we're trying to get people to look at us a certain way, like we're not savages, but at the same time, we gotta not act like savages.
Oh yeah, I don't agree with that. Yeah. uh, But
No,
yeah,
what I'm saying is we can exist.
my bad, man. My bad. That was my bad.
No. What I'm saying is at the end of the day, we cannot perpetuate. We
Mhm.
cannot perpetuate. At the end of the day, we cannot perpetuate something that could easily be marked as you're an easy target, right?
You're talking about
And
like
I'm talking
having accountability. That's what you're talking about.
accountability for,
Accountability to the
and that's
culture.
all that it
Accountability,
is. That's
accountability
all
to
that
the
it is,
culture.
man. Like
Accountability. You know.
to the moral frame, and
Yeah,
that's it,
yeah,
man. It's
yeah, yeah,
not. It's like treat everybody well, man. Like
yeah.
it's not authority. It's not that, and not that's not even a long-winded thing. It's diverse perspective
Yeah,
because
yeah.
at this time, we kind of need everybody.
Mhm. Yeah,
So,
yeah.
man, it's been an absolute pleasure, honor, man. I salute you, man. Keep doing what you're doing, man.
All right, man. I appreciate you, bro. Appreciate you for coming on, bro. Making time, and most definitely,
Yeah.
you can chop it up, chop it up again, man. Appreciate everybody that tuned in. Folks that's going to tune in, man. I hope y'all have a great rest of your weekend and have an even better week, man. All right, man. We're getting up out of here. All right. Peace.
Let